Hello and welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is American Ben. So we just did a whole series on alien armies, and seriously thank you if you tuned in for all of it. Makes me happy. If you did watch through all of the episodes, then you might have noticed that there were a lot of repeat or similar flaws and advantages to all the races we covered. Even more importantly, some of you during the course of the series would complain when I pointed out too many advantages of certain alien races because of your excellent and highly moral hatred for aliens. And others of you got pissed off when I pointed out too many flaws of your favorite alien races. First of all, you shouldn't even have favorite alien races. But here's the thing, just because an alien race is strong or has a lot of weapons or came in first in our series doesn't mean that it's the best alien race in sci-fi. To me, best means most imaginative, most substantive in lore, most well thought out. It's easy to make a strong alien race, you just make them immortal and boom, done. It's not as easy to make an intelligently and interestingly flawed alien race. And so in this video, I thought that we would cover some of the things that I have found to be most creative in the sci-fi that we've covered on this channel in the past few years. Now, some of the sci-fi franchises we've covered on this channel will be completely omitted from this video. For instance, Starship Troopers. Listen, I love me a good arachnid horde, and I certainly loved some of the films. But there is nothing that great or creative about Starship Troopers, even given that the original book was written in 1959. Sure, it popularized some now ubiquitous sci-fi ideas like powered armor, but to me none of its ideas are that impressive. Powered armor seems like an obvious invention for the future. Actually, and I'm probably taking a little bit of a risk at getting hate by saying this, I hated the book. I think Starship Troopers is a terrible book, and I'm sorry if you hate me for that. It's slow, overly didactic, tries too hard to be messagey, carries on long, unnecessary, stupid conversations, spoon feeds everything to the reader, and doesn't have that much to enjoy. I honestly thought that Halo: The Fall of Reach was a better book than Starship Troopers by far, despite the former being written in only 2 months by Eric Nyland, and it not being considered an all-time sci-fi classic at all. But anyway, on to what I do think is creative, and what I like best from different sci-fi franchises with a specific focus on alien races. To start, I actually really like the Forerunners from Halo. I think they have just enough mystique to be interesting and yet intimidating. I really like their class system with builders at the top, as the construction of their technology is of foremost importance in their future time. I also really like their innovation of hard light and how such technology is incorporated into their tech and is used in combination with more standard building materials to form their structures and ships. When it comes to the rest of Halo, I think one of my favorite things is High Charity. I'm not saying mobile cities or massive space stations are entirely original, but High Charity is really well designed, and might be the most creative structure in Halo, including the Halo Array. High Charity is of course the Covenant's 314-mile high, 216-mile round mobile capital city, that is heavily armed with requisite firepower to protect its tens of millions of inhabitants. Perhaps I should credit Halo's multi-million-dollar budget in being able to create such high-quality art. But still, High Charity and its collapse is one of the most memorable aspects of Halo to me. Massive space stations are not the most original idea ever, but still, I think the Citadel from Mass Effect is really well thought out. I love that the Reapers have built this mass relay network that over time leads civilizations down a preordained path to this secret trap that the Reapers use to eliminate populations. It's very well carried out, and intelligently linked with the Crucible, the Reaper eliminating superweapon as the story comes to a head. While a lot of the stuff in 40k is not so well thought out, as Warhammer goes for quantity and power over substance sometimes, there are some good things in there. The warp is a great spin on interstellar travel. It adds a whole new dimension, literally and figuratively, to the usual boring faster-than-light travel element of most sci-fi franchises. This is an example where something that might be a giant obstacle or flaw to the races and armies therein makes the entire universe more interesting and fun. The warp is a psychic dimension parallel to real space, full of all sorts of demons and malevolent powers, and most of the races in 40k have to travel through it in order to traverse space and, moreover, survive. Immaterium, as it's known, beautifully adds to the nightmare that is the 40k universe. Then I love the Space Hulks, giant metal entities floating through space that are an amalgamation of parts from destroyed ships and other debris. Space Hulks are incorporated into 40k very well too, as they can be Tyranid breeding grounds or means of transport for orcs, and thereby spooky settings for battles in the dark between Space Marines and Xenos. When it comes to the specific races in 40k, I really like the Necrons. Even though they're OP as hell, I really feel like the most thought was put into creating them. It's easy to tell that the people who thought them up had a whole lot of fun doing so. The Tyranids, not so much. I really like the Necrons' phase technology, even though it makes them nearly unstoppable. It's a nice touch on an already terrifying species. Their ability to phase body parts in and out of battle as they fight, and to phase through solid objects, sets them apart from other 40k factions. It's really hard not to like the orcs as well. Not as allies, relaxed keyboard inquisition, just as a well-designed alien race. Just in terms of the creativity that went into drawing them up, and how all of their tech, weapons, and other cultural aspects fit right in with their personalities. Their collective psychic power is their most unique element, by which anything orcs believe to be true becomes true. This ability allows for none of orc technology to make any sense, and even be wildly exaggerated, and yet all work perfectly well. I also like that this race of brutes has a part fungal makeup. They're not just ogres, they're ogre mushrooms, with the genetic traits of fungal life forms that allow them to reproduce, not by raping and pillaging as might be expected of brute armies, but by releasing spores into the environment that take root in the soil of planets and grow into more orcs. Nothing against raping and pillaging bad, but the fungal makeup was a nice creative choice. The ZERG from StarCraft are not the kind of race I like having on this list. Hive mind alien races are just so overdone. But their DNA is pretty cool. As we explained in the video we did on them, they have two cell types at birth, one which creates random mutations and another that hunts these mutations. The result of this is that the mutations that survive are the strongest ones of all. Despite being a hive mind race, the ZERG understand the principles of evolution and incorporate this into the development of their species. For instance, they purposely situate themselves in harsh climates in order to further their own evolution through natural selection. Only the strongest or the ones with the best mutations survive. They also only assimilate the strongest species into their flood. Okay, just a quick jump back to Halo for a second. If I did have to pick the most creatively designed alien hive mind, I'd have to go with the Flood. While the Flood still shares many of the repetitive traits that many alien hive mind races have, like collective intelligence and a rapid reproduction process, they are designed in a way that makes them feel more like a parasite or infection than just a swarm of bugs. They're like a zombified ZERG, and this to me makes the Flood much more creepy and unique than other hive minds. Daleks are a pretty boring alien race, but I do like their artificial cortex vault, the device inside a Dalek's casing that purifies their hate. The vault is a memory bank that is programmed to delete any trace of even the slightest kindness or compassion. Any memory a Dalek might gain that could turn them less evil is instantly erased. Thus, Daleks are artificially forced to be devoid of morals and to be absolutely committed to conquest and violence. There aren't a lot of ideas from the Aliens universe that blow me away, but I do think that the filmmakers did perhaps the most successful job in all of sci-fi of creating an alien just intelligent enough to make you wonder what it is capable of, and yet just feral enough to terrorize the viewer. Just powerful enough to make the audience feel helpless, and yet not so totally OP that they're unkillable. I also like the way that genetic transfer is incorporated into the films, with xenomorphs taking on some physical and mental attributes of the host from which they are born. Given that the xenomorph form that everyone is used to is the form born from human hosts, it makes you wonder just how much of them is human. Are their behaviors all alien born, or is there a human factor there? Okay, I do feel like I have to include Star Wars somewhere on this list, despite the fact that nothing from the franchise really blows me away in terms of originality and uniqueness, though it did set a lot of the standards for sci-fi when it came out back in the 1970s. That said, as simple and obvious as it sounds, I've always found lightsabers to be their most creative idea. There are science fiction works with energy swords that precede Star Wars, but certainly Star Wars was the first to bring them to the big screen and popularize the idea. But moreover, there's a reason they're such an iconic part of Star Wars. Their design and use was executed really well. They really make Star Wars fun and cool. Anyway, that's the list that I was able to come up with in short order. But I know there are a lot more truly creative things in sci-fi that don't get enough attention or credit. So I'm really interested to hear in the comments below what you have to add to this list, or if you disagree with any part of this list. I'll be reading as many of the comments on this video as I can to see what you think. Anyway, I do hope that you enjoyed this video and found it helpful in advancing towards your destiny in life. Okay, maybe that was a bit of a long shot. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to like, comment like I said, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell. For now, my name is American Ben, and I'll catch you next time. Generation Films, peace.